Today we're going to walk through iSolved's personalized user experience that helps future-proof your business with our comprehensive employee-focused platform. As we walk through the user experience today, you will see a consumer-grade design that helps organizations retain top talent and increase employee engagement. The experience is performance-ready on any device, providing users with access on the go to improve their work-life balance. It also empowers your employees to control their information, reducing the burden placed on leaders and the HR departments. And unlike traditional apps, the responsive website is always current with the latest version, so you no longer have to worry what version an employee is on to ensure that they're using the correct functionality within an app. So now let's take a look at the employee experience, and I'm logged in as Danielle today, and this is Danielle's homepage. There's a couple different ways that you can navigate through the new user experience. The first is the more traditional icons on the left-hand side, where you can click on the icon to take you to an additional screen. The second is directly from the home page. You can see the different tiles that are out here that allows you to dive into specific areas under those tiles. There's also a recently visited tile that allows your employees to easily navigate to previous screens that they've looked at. Now, as I mentioned, the user experience is available from any device at any time. So let me just switch over and give you a little bit of an example of what it looks like, say, from an iPad view. So as you can tell, it automatically adjusts to the screen that they're using. So this would be an iPad view where they're seeing the tiles, and then again have the icons on the left-hand side. If I switch over to, say, a Galaxy smartphone, then it's going to provide me that same user experience, but again, it's going to adapt to that screen. So you can see the tiles on the main screen here, and then up in the upper left-hand corner, you could click in to get to the icons to navigate as well. Now back on the home screen, to navigate to the different tiles, they could easily click on the arrows or swipe with their finger to move between the different tiles. Now let's jump back into more of the computer or the laptop view as we walk through what an employee's typical experience is on a daily basis. So I'm back in as Danielle on my home screen, and for Danielle to punch in during the day, she just has to come over here to the speed punch. There's two different options with the speed punch. The first is going to be a detailed punch. This is going to allow Danielle to come in and maybe make changes to their org level, change the type of punch that she's entering, or even to enter notes for her manager. The second option is the quick punch. This is an easy way for Danielle to just punch in and out of the computer and automatically log her into her home department. Now, as you can see, I have geofencing set up within this organization. So this is pulling up a warning message letting me know that this punch is outside of one of the geofences I have set up. So Danielle can either try again when she is inside a geofence that is available, or she can hit OK and punch in. Now, you can also prevent employees from having the ability to punch in if they're outside the fence, and then it will just pull up a message letting them know that they're outside of the fence and unable to punch. If you're not using geofencing when you go to punch in, it's going to automatically punch you in. You're still going to be able to see things like the punch status to say that I'm currently punched out, here's my last punch, etc. Now, as I hit the OK button, you're going to see that the punch is going to pop up a message saying that it is successful. Your punch has been recorded, and then you can see the details of those punch, including a map of my approximate location by using Google Maps. From here, I can say I'm done. It's going to take me back to the home screen, and maybe I want to go in and look at my time card. So I can click on the time card tile and go directly into the time card screen, which will give me some more details as to what's happening with the current pay period. I could also navigate to a week screen or to a daily screen. But from this screen right here on the left-hand side, you're going to see a summary of what's happening. So you can see some earnings summaries, labor summaries if Danielle is working in multiple departments, any adjustments that may be out there, such as mileage, tips, etc., and if there are any alerts that are on the calendar or the current pay period. The right-hand side is going to give you more of that visual view. So you can see days that have alerts attached to them. You can see a visual of the blocks of hours that are on each day. And if I would want to drill in, I could click on a day to look at specific hours. When were the in punches? When were the out punches? When did I take my meal? When were my punches in for the day? I could also navigate to screens that might have a missing punch on it. So in this case, on the 23rd, there is a missing punch. I punched in at 8 o'clock, and my alert is saying I have a missing punch. So directly from this screen, I would be able to go in as an employee and collaborate with my manager to submit a missing punch by clicking the missing punch button. This is going to pop up a window asking me, what was the date of the missing punch? What was the time of the missing punch? What type of punch it was, and give me the ability to enter in any notes that would be associated with that punch. From here, I can hit save. It's going to register that punch, and it will notify my manager that there is a punch out there for them to go in and to approve. Now, once I submit that missing punch, I also have some other capabilities on the time card screen. I can come here to the upper left-hand corner and approve my time card. Or I could also add a record to my time card if my company allows me to. So to add a record, there's some different things that are under here, such as hours or punch. In most cases, companies are going to allow employees to maybe only enter things like an adjustment. So an adjustment could be things like mileage, tips, travel time, whatever it may be. But they would be able to come in here, select a date, enter the type of adjustment, enter in an amount, and then save that to their screen. That's going to let you know that it's been saved correctly. And then again, now I do have an adjustment that shows here for $50. And if I would look at that date, it would pull up that adjustment in that calendar. Now, directly from this screen, I could also take a look at a different view and jump into my calendar. The My Calendar is going to provide me information such as, when I'm scheduled to work, if I do have any absences that I have scheduled, what's pending, what's approved, even diving into days that I may have set up that I'm unavailable to work. So I can manage all of this information directly from this screen and get an idea of what's happening. The left-hand side, again, is going to give me a summary. It gives me the ability to click on the different items and turn off items I may not want to see. So as I click off on some of these items, you will see that they're eliminating them from my calendar, or I could go back to all and have it all populated. And then down below, instead of giving me, hey, these are the number of times that these are happening, it's actually going to summarize the number of hours that are out there for each of the items listed above. Now, from my time card, maybe I need to go in and request time off. I can simply click on the time off request button. It's going to pull up a summary of my time off, allowing me to look at the different policies that are available to me, the number of hours that are remaining, and then ultimately I can drill into the details. So looking at what's currently there, what are my service dates, my length of service, the last time I had an awarded date, and what is my actual accrual amount. And then I can go in and look at a few other things as to, what was my hours that were available based off of the last pay period, or what is projected for the current year. From here, I could request time off, or I could close this down, go back to my home screen, and request time off as well. Now, down at the bottom of this screen, it's also going to give me a summary of any upcoming time off request, as well as pending time off request. And if there are any past or historical ones, they will show here as well. But maybe Danielle needs to come in and she's going to request some time off for PTO, and she's looking to take some time off in October. So Danielle can come in here and she could select the date that she'd like to take off. Maybe it's going to be a Friday. She wants those hours to be allocated to the full day. So instead of taking a half a day and entering in maybe 12 o'clock, she's going to take off the whole day. So I'm going to enter 8 hours in at 8 a.m. I could enter any notes, hit submit, and then that's going to say that it's been successfully recorded, and again, send a notification to my manager to go in and approve that request. Now that I'm done looking at the time and attendance functionality, let's navigate it over to the pay functionality, where again, it really empowers me to control my information and my data in the system. We'll start off with taking a look at the direct deposits, where I can come in here and I could move these back and forth if I want one to be the primary and the secondary. I could easily shut these off, so with the holidays coming up If I want to say, you know what, I don't want to go into my pay card, I want more to go into my checking to pay for those gifts, I could do that. I could also add a record or even just drill into the details. So maybe if I am going into my pay card, maybe instead of 50, maybe I'd want to edit that and change it to 25. So all that information is right here at the fingertips, allowing your employees to manage their money and what accounts that it goes to. From here, they can navigate to their pay history, and I'm going to take a look at a previous pay period here, which is going to give me the information around the net pay, the gross pay, the hours. So this is giving me just a brief summary, and then I can drill into the details by clicking on the earnings and the taxes and the deductions. So at my fingertips, I can look at my time card and ensure that I'm being paid correctly without having to guess or wait for that paper stub to hit my box. Once you build history, it's going to allow the employees to go back and look at previous years as well. And we also added onto this screen the ability to download the pay stub. So this can be done in two ways. One is I could download this current check, or I would have the ability to download multiple checks. So maybe Danielle, the employee here, is at the bank and she's sitting down and meeting with her loan officer. And in order for her to buy that brand new car that she's been dreaming of, she needs to provide some pay stub history, and maybe it's the last 3 pay stubs. So she can come in here, she can select those 3 pay stubs, hit download. Those are going to download those pay stubs as a PDF to her phone, to her iPad, to her computer, whatever she may be using. And then from there, she could print it off or email that directly to her loan officer to take advantage of purchasing that car maybe on a Saturday versus waiting to connect with HR on a Monday and delaying that process. So she's able to celebrate those moments that matter by giving easy access to those pay history stubs. The other thing that's very similar to the pay history stubs is going to be the year-end tax forms. So things like W-2s, 1095s, they will also be there for you to download, print off, etc. One other item to highlight on the pay screen is also the tax updates. So this will give your employees the ability to go through and update their tax information. So if they want to claim married now instead of single, they would have the ability to come in here, start the wizard, and walk through the process of making changes to their W-4 information. Once they complete the wizard, then from here, that notification will go to the HR department to approve before it goes into effect. Now, the last icon to walk through from the employee perspective is going to be the personal screen. And on here, we are empowering your employees to again come in and manage their information. So things like their address or their primary contact information. The employees can come in here and they can edit any of that information. And then again, that can update HR record and provide that information to your leaders as well. They also have the ability to update their contacts. So whether it is a dependent, a beneficiary, or emergency contact, they can either add new or come in here and edit those items as well. Now, as we're wrapping up the employee perspective, I just want to navigate everyone over to the upper right-hand corner where we're taking a look at the bubbles and essentially the bell that's up here. And from here, there is a drop-down that will show a few different things. The first is going to be a company. So if Danielle is working in multiple companies, there will be multiple companies listed under the company view, and that will allow Danielle to switch back and forth to see information related to that company. The other is going to be the profile screen, which will give Danielle the ability to update her photo. She could change her phone number, update her password, or change her security question. Preferences will walk through maybe things that she signed off on, like receiving her W-2 electronically, or stating that, hey, she's giving approval for her electronic consent on different documents throughout the system. And the last thing would be notifications on here, and that's really going to provide Danielle with updates on things like, hey, I have a missing punch. So that's where notifications would be pushed out to her so she could easily see them and have another way to navigate to those notifications. So as we wrap up the employee perspective, again, you can tell that this is a consumer grade design. So it is built to help retain your top talent and to increase your employee engagement. And as we showed you through the different devices, it's performance ready on any device, which makes it easier for your employees to access this on the go to improve their work-life balance. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log out and I'm going to log back in as a manager. So now I'm logged in as Lincoln, and Lincoln is a manager. As you can see, Lincoln has the same capabilities that Danielle has because managers are also employees. They just have more responsibility. So as a supervisor or manager, I can come in and I can access my time and attendance information, my personal information, and my pay information. But in this case, I also have an additional tile that allows me to come in and manage information around my employees. So as we're looking at Lincoln, let's take a look at the speed dial, and just to show you additional options that are available for Lincoln as a manager, you're going to see an additional icon. This icon is going to be more of a group punch where Lincoln could come in here. He could select what employees he'd like to punch in and then walk through the punch process, entering in the times. Is it a normal punch? Is it a meal punch? Is it punching into a different org level, etc.? Now, the other options that Lincoln has is to go into his tasks. So this is a great way for him to get a quick overview as to what is going on with his employees. As you can see on this dashboard, it's showing that Lincoln has 8 pending tasks around time and attendance. So from here, Lincoln can dive into either the pending punch request or the time off request. Both are very similar to approve them. So I'm just going to jump into the time off request, and I can see the 2 days that Danielle is requesting off. I'm going to select one of those days, and it's going to pull me up into that specific details. So from here, I can see the date, I can see the hours, I could see any notes if they were added. I could also show a calendar view and take a look and see if there's anyone else that is off that day. And currently is showing that Danielle is the only one that does have a pending request. So if I'm okay with this, I could come over here as Danielle's manager or supervisor, and I could approve this time off. Now again, once I approve it, that's going to send a notification back to Danielle or the employee, letting them know that that has been approved. From here, I could say that I'm done, and I can go back to the remainder of my task and move on to my next items. So again, as I mentioned, the pending punch and the time off request are very similar. So if I have that punch in here for the 23rd, I could come in here, I could look at the details, and again, I could approve that punch or come over here and just approve one versus approving all 3 that are out there. And then once I approve that, again, it's going to say it's approved. And when I go back and look at the time card, you will see that there's not going to be a missing punch for that day. Again, I can say I'm done. It's going to take me back to my dashboard. And maybe now Lincoln wants to jump in and take a look at his employees and their time card. So I can navigate to my time cards for approval. Now Lincoln does manage multiple pay groups, so I got to select the pay group that he manages. And then what it's going to do is it's going to pop up a couple different items for me. One is it's going to show me more of a detailed view of the number of hours here, numeric view, and then up top I have more of the graphical view. So I can take a look at things like paid earnings, employee status, any unpaid earnings. So it's very easy for me as a manager to know what's happening with my employees to ensure operational success. Down below is going to be all the details. It looks like that a couple of my employees already have their time cards that's partially approved, but Danielle does not have her time card completely approved. Maybe that's because she still has an alert on her time card. So I want to dive in as her supervisor and take a look at that time card. So from here, I can click her name, and then it's going to take me to her time card. Again, just like the employee view, you're going to see a summary over here on the left-hand side that's showing you earnings, any labor summaries, the adjustments, and any alerts that are out here. And then again, I can drill into those specific days to look at those details and just see what is happening within that specific day. If I wanted to approve the time card, I could come over here and I could select approve, and that will put a mark on it and say that for my supervisor, he is approving this employee's time card. Now, the supervisor also has some other things that they can do from the time card. They could come up here and hit create new, which is going to allow them to choose a type of record they'd like to add. So we talked about the employees being able to add hours and punches, adjustments, etc. So the managers have that same capability as long as organizations allow them to. So from here, he could enter hours, he could enter a punch, he could enter adjustment, or maybe they called in sick and they weren't able to access their computer for whatever reason or their phone. and Lincoln could go in and enter that absence for them on their behalf. But let's just take a look at hours and go to next. And maybe Danielle was at training here towards the beginning of the week, or maybe the previous, or maybe next week they're going to be at training. So Lincoln could come in here and Lincoln can say, hey, I'm going to put in 8 hours of training for you on the 29th. And I can just put in here at training. Hit save, and then those hours are going to be added to the Danielle's record and automatically pop that up here. Now, if you notice, once I did that, I'm also getting a notification that's saying my time card has been on approve because hours have been entered in it after the supervisor did approve it. So that's how quick those notifications are sent out, and then I can come back in as the employee and as the supervisor and re-verify that time card. Now, as a manager, they also have some other responsibilities. Maybe they want to take a look at their overall calendar and really get an idea of what's happening with their employees. So the My Calendar view, again, you can look at a monthly view, a week view, or a day view. We'll drill into things that are happening. So right now on the 24th, you can see that I have 2 people scheduled, and I could drill into that detail. Or I could take more of a weekly view, which is going to give you more of a visual view, and that's going to tell me when people are scheduled. So Danielle is scheduled to work, and Danielle also on the 25th has a pending time off request for me to come in and approve. Now, another thing that Lincoln can do as a supervisor is he can come in here and he can review or manage information regarding the employee, depending on the access that you provide to supervisors. So in this case, Lincoln's coming in and he's not able to edit the information, but he could look at Danielle's name and address, the contact information, any other information that your organization allows Lincoln to look at. He could also manage absences and take a look at those absences and approve them or edit them or delete them directly from this screen as well. So there's just another option on where Lincoln or a supervisor can navigate to in order to make those changes. So that wraps up the manager's perspective of the new user interface for iSolved. In conclusion, what we showed you today was a consumer-grade design that helps organizations retain top talent and increase employee engagement. The experience is performance-ready on any device, providing users with access on the go to improve their work-life balance, and it empowers employees to control their information, reducing the burden placed on leaders and HR departments. Thank you for your time today, and if you have any additional questions or need additional information related to the new user interface, please reach out to your sales representative.